Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me in today's video on inventory costing. We're going to be discussing the four methods: specific identification, first in, first out, or FIFO, last in, first out, or LIFO, and weighted average. We'll work an example of each, discuss some of the tax advantages, and conclude with a few pointers. So in all of these methods, we're going to practice calculating the cost of goods sold, or COGS, and the value of the ending inventory. These are likely going to be asked when using these methods, so we'll get some practice. So let's just walk through this. On the first, we purchased 10 units at $20 each, giving us a balance of 10 units. Then on the third, we purchased 20 units at $15 each, giving us a new inventory balance of 30 units. And then on the 10th, we have our first date of sale, where we sell 6 units at $35 each, where each of the 6 units costs $20, and then 7 units at $30 each, where each of the 7 units costs $15. Since we've sold these units and they're no longer in our inventory, we have a new inventory balance of 17. 30 minus 13. Then we purchased 10 units at $10 each, giving us a new balance of 27. And then we have our final date of sale on the 20th. So let's just dig into calculating our COGS. So because we sold 6 units where each of the units costs $20 and 7 units where each of the units costs $15, we do 6 times 20 plus 7 times 15 to give us 225. And then we do the same method on the 20th, 3 times 20 plus 4 times 15 plus 5 times 10 for 170, and a total COGS of $395. And then when calculating inventory, we first find the value of all the inventory we had, 10 times 20 plus 20 times 15 plus 10 times 10 for 600. And then we subtract our cost of goods sold, $395, for an ending inventory of $205. Moving on to FIFO, the table looks a little bit different, but it'll be the same table we use for the LIFO and weighted average examples. And let's just get right into it. So I know this is a long equation, but we'll work through it step by step. So we sell 8,000 units on the second. And because we're using FIFO, the very first 8,000 of this 10,000 units gets sold first. So we do 8,000 times $1. And then we have a balance of 2,000 units that must get carried over to the 11th. And then on the 12th, we sell 12,000 units. And because we're using FIFO, this 2,000 must go first because it was purchased before this 15,000. So we do 2,000 times $1 plus 10,000 because we still need to sell another 10,000 units to meet 12,000. So we do 10,000 times $2. And then we have an ending inventory balance of 5,000 units that gets carried over to the 22nd. And then on the 23rd, we sell 22,000 units, and we apply the same FIFO concept again. These 5,000 units get sold first because they were purchased before this 20,000. So we do 5,000 times $2 plus 17,000 to get us to 22,000 times $3 for a total COGS of $91,000. And then we have an ending inventory of 3,000 units where each unit costs $3 for a total ending inventory of $9,000. And then you might have wondered why we didn't use the 4, the 5, and the 6. And that's because they're used in calculating our revenue. 8,000 times $4 plus 12,000 times 5 plus 22,000 times 6 gives us a total revenue of $224,000. Revenue is always total number of units sold times the selling price of each unit. On the LIFO, here we use the exact opposite idea of what we did last time. So on the second, when we sell 8,000 units, we sell the final 8,000 of this 10,000. So we do 8,000 times $1, and then we have the very first 2,000 units purchased that get carried over. And then on the 12th, we sell 12,000 units. These 12,000 units that are sold must be the final 12,000 of this 15,000 because those are the final units that were purchased. So we do 12,000 times $2 for an inventory balance of 5,000, but this 5,000 is made up of 2,000 units at $1 each and 3,000 units at $2 each, because we have 3,000 units left there. So this 5,000 has two layers, if you will. And then it gets carried over once again, and then we sell 22,000 units. And of this 22,000, we do 20,000 times $3, because these are the final units that are purchased, plus 2,000 times $2, where this 2,000 is the last 2,000 of the 3,000 that was left over. So that gives us a total COGS of $96,000. And then our ending inventory is still 3,000 units, made up of 2,000 units at $1 each, plus 1,000 units at $2 each, for a total ending inventory of $4,000. And then our revenue is the exact same, $224,000, because regardless of which method you use for inventory costing, the revenue stays the same. Moving on to weighted average. With weighted average, you calculate the average cost of each unit and multiply it by the total number of units when calculating COGS. So we do 8,000 times $1 once again, because the average cost of each of these 10,000 units is $1 for a balance of 2,000. And then these get carried over. And then we have to calculate our new average cost per unit. So we do 2,000 times $1 plus 15,000 times $2 for 30,000 divided by 17,000 units to give us an average cost per unit of $1.88. So we do 12,000, total number of units being sold, times $1.88. And then we have 5,000 units left over, where each unit costs an average of $1.88 for a total of 9,400. And then we must add this to 20,000 times 3, or 60,000, divided by 25,000 units for a new average cost per unit of $2.78, which gets multiplied to the 22,000 for a COGS underweighted average of $91,720. And then we have 3,000 units left over, where the average cost of each unit is $2.78. So we do 3,000 times $2.78 for a total ending inventory of 8,340. So now I wanted to talk about tax advantages. And you'll notice in our example, the costs were rising 1 to 2 to 3. And you'll oftentimes be asked, when costs are rising, which method should you use if you want the greatest tax advantage? And the answer is you should use LIFO, because in these mini income statements I've provided, when we used LIFO, we paid taxes of $7,300. But when we used FIFO, we paid taxes of $7,800. So because we paid less taxes when costs are rising, LIFO is the method we should use for the greater tax advantage. On the flip side, if costs were falling, we should use FIFO if we want the tax advantage. So I wanted to end by offering you guys a few pointers, and I think these will really help you in tackling these problems. So the first is always work in order the date of sale, right? So regardless of which method we used, we always worked chronologically from the earliest date to the last date, and this is key to obtaining the right answer. Secondly, and I can't stress this one enough, always carry over unsold units. We saw that this was especially important in our FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average examples, because if we didn't carry over those units, we would have made incorrect calculations and gotten the wrong answer. So always be sure to carry over unsold units. And then I wanted to echo what I said in the last slide, which is you should use LIFO when costs are rising for the tax advantage. And then you should also use, and then in another scenario, you should use FIFO when costs are falling for the tax advantage. That's everything, and I hope you learned something from this video that you can apply to your future accounting coursework. Thank you.